Hey, back at Roseanne's with Jenn Hoffman. And so you were on the Rubin Report this week, and you haven't been on in a couple months because you went to New York. And you've done something new with your fashion that I wanted to lead into a discussion.
Yes.
You're wearing ties now.
Yes, I've taken to wearing a tie. I don't know why, I've just decided I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
It looks a little sharp. So like right now I have like the low slung tie. But yeah, I've been wearing like shirts and proper ties and bow ties and boleros and this kind of more maybe masculine look, but I have a feminine look otherwise, like long hair and a curvy body. So maybe, I don't know, it was giving a little bit more.
Doing what feels.
Yeah, I just try to wear like frilly dresses. I mean, you have big boobs, or people always think you're trying to emphasize your boobs. So I'm just kind of.
So you're trying not to, you're actually tying something to hide your,
together. Yeah,
hide your boobs.
I'm not really hiding my boobs, I'm just not trying to wear like the most feminine frilly dress anymore.
Fair enough. So Jenn was on the show this week, and a lot of the comments in the YouTube videos were that she looks lesbian-y or dykey or something like that.
People are now saying, shut up, you stupid dyke, or you would say that because you're a lesbian. All of a sudden, to any opinion I had, there was now this shade of sexuality put on it, that my sexual preference, I'm wearing a tie, therefore I must be a lesbian, therefore my opinion of course would be this.
Right. Now you were saying that you've not only never been called a lesbian for, not that there's anything wrong with that, right?
No, I've never been called a lesbian before except for like actions, like if I've made out with a woman, then you're, you know, but
just
no.
by having lesbian sex.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
But you're not a lesbian.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But what have you been called before? Because this is where I think it's kind of interesting.
So this is what's interesting.
Yeah.
Previously, especially when I dressed very feminine, I was immediately called like just you stupid bitch, called a slut a lot. It was always very like derogatory, whore. It was mostly sexualized. So the more I'm wearing something that is definitely would be associated with not just a woman, but very feminine, the more the comment section and more people that have added me on Twitter or even in person in life when they've been upset with me, the comments have been you whore, you slut, or you're this. And the second the look got a little bit more masculine, immediately it was shut up, you lesbian.
Right. So I think this is really fascinating because I saw the tie and it didn't strike me as lesbian or not lesbian or whatever it is.
Cool.
But I think it's kind of it strikes me as like comic sort of. Like I feel like maybe that's more of I think of it as like a Paula Poundstone thing, although actually she's a lesbian. So maybe
and then Ellen's a lesbian. So I started thinking of that most people I know that are famous lesbians are comedians, and although Sarah Silverman rocks a tie too, but she gets the same comments like "shut up, you dyke," and I'm like, but she's not a lesbian.
Right. So it's funny because I have many lesbian friends, and I've had a lot of lesbians on the show. Obviously, they are come in all shapes and sizes, much like there's all kinds of black people and all kinds of white people and all kinds of Christian people, etc.
I've heard people say about you. I've heard them say, "Oh, Dave Rubin's gay. He doesn't seem gay."
I get that.
Yeah.
Constantly. He doesn't seem gay, which I don't know what that means. Like,
what are you supposed to be doing
to
be seeming gay?
I don't know. Like, this is it. Like, I'm gay. I don't know how much gayer I could get than this right now. Like,
right. It's just people want to apply whatever immediate image they have towards a stereotype, obviously. But when it gets strange is when people start to decide that you must feel a certain way because, like, there's people that maybe assume you're straight and then assume you're going to have certain opinions about something.
Right.
But now, it's just like the anger has been toward that's what struck me about it. It was the anger now became about being a lesbian. Where before the anger was about me being so straight that I must be a whore who just loves dicks flying at my face or something, you know?
What I also think is funny is that, most of our audience, I would assume, I'm pretty sure, is pretty liberal, especially on the social stuff at least, right?
Sure.
I think they're pretty liberal in general, but at least on the social stuff. So it's like when they then would look at you and then make that judgment just on, and then somehow they're attacking you on that. Like they're saying it obviously in she looks like a lesbian. Yeah. As if that's a bad thing.
Nobody was like, nice point, you dyke.
Yeah. Right. Like that also seems like particularly odd to me that even for liberal people, still the idea of, because believe me, I get it all the time, like, fag, fag, fag. And then the other half go, oh, I didn't know he was gay. But like that idea that still this sexuality is still used as
so weaponized against you and used to make assumptions about what your opinions are going to be about things. And I feel like if you're considered like you're a straight woman who identifies as a woman and you're on air and you dress like a woman, you're either a slut or you're stupid. Yeah. Usually, generally. Not everyone. There's going to be people commenting going, oh, why do you think that about everyone? I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying when people decide to get ugly or judgmental, that's a go-to. So I just want to put that out there so people at first aren't like, well, everyone isn't coming at you. And fine, I get it. But it's just strange how it flipped immediately. Right. The second I accessorized with a tie, it went from being either like, the anger went from being dumb or hoary to suddenly like, well, gay.
This is one of the things where I definitely have a lot of empathy for women in media in general, because if you think about it, like all the Fox News women, we all know this, like you could just Google it.
The Fox
image search, they all look exactly the same. They're all tanned exactly the same. They all wear the same, shirt, sleeveless, whatever. And then the guys all wear suits and across news all together. And I always think it's so funny, like all the women have to show their arms as part of what they do. But imagine if Wolf Blitzer showed up in a tank top, you'd barf.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that, but that standard really does, even in 2015, it still hugely exists.
So briefly when I was in news, I was a reporter and like really briefly an anchor. That was when it was just shifting from women had to be so covered up where you couldn't even show your arms.
Right.
And you had to have short hair. If you wanted to be a woman in news, they would advise you to cut your hair no longer than shoulder length at all. Being very blonde was frowned upon, and they wanted you really buttoned up. They're trying to make you look like the male anchors. Then when they realized that you can kind of like feminize this and get more men to tune in and more women that would want to be like the female anchor, that's when you started to see the sleeves with the really toned arms and the hair getting longer and kind of like the sexy anchor, where it's in Fox, it's more like it's like they're going in between MILF and I don't know what kind of anchor.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of anchor. Anyway. Can you get your news from women that are wearing sleeved shirts? The lesbians look a certain way. Give me one more question here. Do the men finish me strong? Do gay guys have to wear a certain thing? Is my shirt too loose right now? Let me know in the comments right down below, and don't forget to subscribe.